Hello, grandchildren. I thought today I'd tell you about my favorite books. And the next video after this, I'm going to discuss or mention your favorite books because I've been getting those titles from your parents. My favorite book of all time has to be the Bible, not only because it contains the truth of the story of the whole world and of God's love for us and the truth about death and life and how to get to heaven, but also because it has a lot of very interesting literature, and it's an extremely interesting book to read. God inspired different people over many different decades to write different kinds of literature that is contained in the Bible. Some of it's history, some of it is prose, some of it's poetry, some of it's apocalyptic, and of course the whole story is all connected together to do with the beginning, everything from the beginning of time until the end of this world and then eternity. The story of Jesus Christ. My favorite book after the Bible is really a series of short stories by Arthur Conan Doyle. And those would be the Sherlock Holmes stories, because I love mysteries. And Sherlock Holmes intrigues me, the way that he searches for clues and is able to follow a trail to whoever did the crime. And so I find that fascinating. After Conan Doyle, I think my favorite author has to be Shakespeare. And I can just imagine some of you saying, ooh, Shakespeare, I don't know about that. And part of the reason for that is that some of you think, well, I can't understand it. It's old-fashioned language. That's what a lot of my students thought at school as well, at Redeemer Lutheran when I taught there, and when I did the Shakespeare Club, and we did plays. But they learned pretty fast that there's really a trick to knowing the language, and it's quite easy. And all of you can understand Shakespeare. The reason I say that is because I believe all of you understand the Lord's Prayer. If you think about the Lord's Prayer, we use a little bit old-fashioned words from the church. It goes like this: Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Now, if you think about that for a minute, we all know what that means. But we say, Our Father, who art in heaven, A-R-T, not who are in heaven. So when we're reading a Shakespeare play, or a poem, or a sonnet, if we see that word art, we know it's R. By the same token, if we hear a word like saith, we know it's say or said. And then in the Lord's Prayer we say, hallowed be thy name. Well, what does thy mean? We all know it means your. So if we're reading a Shakespeare play and we see the word thy, or thou, or thine, just as we say in the end of the Lord's Prayer, thine be the kingdom, that means yours be the kingdom. So we've got those words pretty well figured out. There are also some other like tricks, like when do you say blessed or blessed? When do you say hallowed or hallowed? In Shakespeare, it's very easy. If there is an ed at the end of the word and it's all written out, the whole word's written out, you say the ed. In other words, blessed or hallowed. But if there's an apostrophe and a d at the end, like in blessed, if it's B-L-E-S-S apostrophe D, then you pronounce it blessed. And we do have both of those sort of examples in Shakespeare. So never let anybody tell you that you can't read and enjoy works like Shakespeare's just because they're in Old English. There are a lot of good books that are in Old English, and I'm sure as you get older and go through your middle school and high school years, and especially if you go to college, if you get into some college literature classes, you'll see that there are books like that too that you can enjoy. Of course, books don't have to have old language to be enjoyable. There are a lot of new books too. that are fun to read.